So why everyone is actually getting into this SD-WAN as a technology, and why everyone is talking so much about SD-WAN, right? So people would have heard about SDN, NFV, all these terminologies, but nowadays it is more of SD-WAN that is being spoken. So many people talk about SD-WAN. The reason being, it has actually quickly come up as a good application and use case which provides a return on investments. Okay, so SDN and NFB has been being spoken since at least from a market point of view, it has been spoken at least from about 2010 times. As a technology, it was started sometime during, I mean, people started discussing sometime during 2004. However, even though it was being discussed since 2010, not many use cases were seen where people could actually make such a huge investments in terms of transforming their network into SDN or even NFV based network, but the returns were not seen to that extent. Okay, so probably people were all talking about something like bandwidth management and stuff like that. So on-demand bandwidth and kind of a thing was what was being looked at to start with. And anyway, now SDN is also taking good importance, and a lot of transformations are happening. Many of the organizations are implementing SDN. However, SD-WAN actually started delivering results quickly. So people could able to see the returns for the investments, and that's why SD-WAN has actually picked up the market. So as you see in the graph, this part of this one, right? Let me just hold on. Yeah. So towards right, if you notice, actually, SD-WAN has actually picked up, and that's being everyone is actually looking at SD-WAN as a technology. Okay. So there are some certain data which we have captured with reference to the market projection. So SD-WAN growth projection as part of Futorium, this one. So if you notice the revenue, which was about 1,500 million or 1.5 billion dollars as SD-WAN revenue in 2019, is expected to go up to 3.5 billion in 2022. Okay, so this is as far as Futorium is concerned. So that's the projection here. And with reference to that, since the SD-WAN market projections are being shown this way, so there were some survey which was done with reference to how. Just give me a minute. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so coming back to this projections part, so when people are seeing that kind of a very high growth in the SD-WAN market, so who would be providing you the services? So it has to be service providers. So there was some survey which was conducted with the service providers in terms of what is the kind of SD-WAN service revenue that you expect. from the SD-WAN, right? From overall WAN revenue. So for that, the responses from the service providers was like in 2019, if you notice, it is actually once again, let me just take yeah. So if you notice here, so people had mentioned about less than 10% is what will be the SD-WAN revenue that we will be getting in 2019. So and so it would be more of a traditional WAN based revenue. But going forward by 2023, that traditional revenue is going to fall down, and it will be more towards the SD-WAN part of it, as you see here. So there is a growth this part. So this is how even the service providers are looking at in terms of how the service would be growing and their revenue would be growing, right? And so this is based on a survey conducted by Light Reading, okay? And so MEF also, along with vertical systems groups, they conducted some survey with the service providers. And the question that was asked was, does your company offer a managed SD-WAN service? So it is just not providing a basic SD-WAN service. So even with reference to managed SD-WAN services. So the answers were actually, this was conducted in end of 2018. So at that time itself, the responses were, if you notice, 56% of service providers were saying now we are offering SD-WAN managed services, and about 33% had mentioned that we would be offering very soon, we have planned for it, and only about 11% had mentioned that we have not planned anything. However, now almost every service provider has actually started looking at providing a managed services as part of their offerings. Okay, so that's another survey data. Okay, then there is additional information about IDC survey, IDC analysis that has been done with reference to managed services market and the global SD-WAN market. So if you notice this chart, here we talk about the SD-WAN managed services market, and specifically to US. Okay, so by 2023, it is expected that just in US market, the SD-WAN managed services business is expected to touch about 4.5 billion as per IDC, right? And if you look at excluding the managed services part, only the SD-WAN infrastructure market. So that's what you can see as the right side graph. So which is expected to touch about $5.25 billion by 2023. And this is what is the expectation. So which, as you notice here, the growth is actually very, very high. Okay, and so that's the reason why everyone is getting into this SD-WAN, I would say, bandwagon. And today there are 100 plus SD-WAN solution vendors who claim that they have SD-WAN solutions. Okay, so we will discuss few of the SD-WAN solutions also as we go forward. But this is what is happening, and so obviously there has to be some drivers, right? One is definitely the returns on investment for people who would be implementing SD-WAN. But in addition to that, there are other drivers of this market growth, which are like better support for cloud-based or SaaS-based applications and multi-cloud and hybrid cloud usage, and also easier management of WAN connectivity. And in addition to that, provide a better experience to the customers or users. Okay, and nowadays even the security is also getting added as one of the market driver for this SD-WAN part of it. Okay, so this is another survey which was conducted by survey result conducted by Futorium. So as you notice here again, so the current driver for SD-WAN, the highest expectations from the customers is to provide a better security. Okay, and then to provide support for cloud or edge services and ease of management. And if you notice, reduction of capex, right, is not at least it is not on top. Which used to be the one of the key driver earlier, which used to be the topmost this one. But now people have realized that okay, that's not the key benefit that I should be looking at. I should be able to get these benefits, and in fact, this is what would be delivered by SD-WAN also as a benefit. So that's where this will help people to manage their network in a much better way. Right. So these are the drivers for SD-WAN part of it. So and this is how the market actually looks like from a business point of view. So any questions on this?
Again, I have a question here. See, we are talking about next 5 years, the adoption of the SD-WAN at the large enterprise customers. At the same time, I'm seeing, or I just wanted to understand from you, how these large enterprise customers are adapting the traditional data center, they're transforming their workloads on the cloud. The cloud, the public cloud and the private cloud service providers are also, improving their technologies, improving their services to large enterprise customers. We are seeing that most of the large customers, enterprise customers in banking sectors or in energy and utilities across these regions, they started transforming with their traditional data center, collapsing their traditional data centers across their opcos and then moving towards the cloud. So by the time 2023 to 2025, the cloud for the workloads, which is much advanced than a network, what are the effect on the adoption of SD-WAN while these enterprise customers are adapting to cloud and they're moving their workloads to public and private cloud, and the collapsing and the need or necessity of their own MPLS network is being diminishing?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Nance, actually. So in a way, if you ask me, the digital transformation that the organizations or enterprises are taking in any industry for that matter. Okay, so all that actually drives towards moving their applications to the public cloud. So the workloads are actually being moved to the cloud part of it. Okay, more than from a private cloud. But yes, there are certain sensitive information which will have to be sensitive and confidential information to be maintained by, let's say, banking and financial kind of industry. So they would still continue to have their private data centers. So this digital transformation is making people to move towards the public cloud and the SaaS-based applications and stuff like that. And actually, what happens is with the tradition, this is a topic which we will be discussing when we start looking at introduction to SD-WAN fundamentals.
But yes, I'm just looking at the surveys which with these conducted, right, in terms of how it is impacting. Is there any result that impact is taken care in these surveys, how it's affecting this business for the next 5 years? Because the cloud in workloads is much advanced compared to network, and they are taking all these aspects, especially data management. They give region-wide storage facilities, and these workloads are moving towards functionless, serverless functions, which can be
serverless functions.
seamlessly, which can be seamlessly addressed security point of view and data point of view. If we look at AWS and Azure, they're providing a lot of services, and going forward, I'm talking about 2023 to next 5 years. So they'll be much advanced, and we are seeing from our experience. I'm not directly getting into SD-WAN or the WAN network implementation as a service assurance architect. The challenges which we face is a lot of transformation program is going on across the multiple sectors.
Right.
So I didn't see any impact on the SD-WAN in this survey. So is there any survey that's talking about how it is impacted, how it is valid in next 5 years when compared to
See, there are not many surveys which have been done from that point of view. However, if you look at it, the very point that you mentioned with reference to the applications being moved towards the cloud, and cloud has actually improved and advanced. They are providing a lot of advanced services and stuff like that, right? And now that itself has actually become a driver for SD-WAN. And that is actually making people to, or forcing people to move towards SD-WAN from a traditional WAN architecture. So traditional WAN had certain limitations with reference to adapting this kind of a cloud-based solutions, which are much more advanced, right? And traditional WAN was not effective. And so anyway, we will discuss that in a little more detail as we go forward. So since it was not effective, so the people were looking at how we can actually redesign our WAN so that we can take advantage of this cloud-based solutions also. And that is one of the key driver for SD-WAN implementations, if you ask me, right? So we will discuss that a little more in detail as we go forward. But there are no surveys which have been done with reference to how these would be impacting and stuff like that. But obviously that's a driver.